What's up, everybody? Stocks by the numbers. Welcome back. Quick update here on ToughBuilt Industries, ticker symbol TBLT, listed here on the Nasdaq. Stocks down to 408, down about 20 cents, right around 5% here on the day. And basically, what's going on is the company just recently did a new offering, right? Now, anytime new offerings come out, essentially, basically, what happens is the market cap of the company is the number of shares times the price per share, right? So, if we do a new offering now of, in this case, 772,000 shares, then basically what you're doing is, now you're increasing one of those variables on one side. So now there's more shares. So what happens is now in order to balance everything out, now because there's more shares, the value per share drops to compensate. It's all in proportion, right? Because essentially, if you really think about it, there was a finite amount of shares, and now if you're just throwing more shares into the market, essentially what you're saying is the value of the other previous existing shares is now less because more shares came into the market, right? So obviously, when that happens, usually stocks always go down for the most part, depending on where the offering price was. But here at 453, I mean, obviously, in my eyes, they probably picked the highest price that they could. And, they're bringing in roughly 3.5 million. Says here the company said net proceeds will be used for general corporate purposes, including working capital. Shares fell 5%. So basically, uh, in the short term, that's also going to kind of suck. And the company was doing well. If you go back here, about 29, 30 million a quarter. And then just the last couple of quarters, we can see that revenue chunked down to sub 20 million. And they started missing on the revenue side by 30+%, right? So the stock's been under a lot of selling pressure here, was probably overvalued out of the gate. It's been selling off. We have multiple reverse stock splits, right? This happened about 6 weeks ago, 1 for 65 reverse split. Before that, 1 for 150, and back here in 2020 to 1 for 10, right? So I have some trend lines drawn out. Obviously, this trend line connecting to these bottoms here starting out in 2019, that would be significantly lower. But I don't know if it's going to get beaten up that much. But I will say that the company did come out, was this a couple of days ago here. ToughBuilt anticipates positive operating cash flow by Q3 2024. Okay, so that's a little positive that we could potentially look forward to here. The problem is that's like 6, 7 months from now, right? So that's why in a situation like this, in the short term, it's probably going to remain volatile. There's a 1 year chart, by the way. I was saying that if we didn't reclaim this long-term support trend line, that after this big drop here on Tuesday, if we didn't reclaim, which obviously you see we didn't, then chances are the next stop would be this bottom 1 year fib, 376. And you can see the stock hit a low here, 388. Now it has bounced from those lows. However, again, we can see that markets just kind of started raging here. So not exactly sure how much of that is real, organic. And if we look at this trend line here, this is going from the bottom of June 22nd of 22, the bottom of June 21st, 2023. Try to zoom in a little bit, and you can see how it basically almost meets up with that bottom there, October 25th, 2023. And then we come down. We last did the video actually a few days before it touched down here. We did a video like on the 15th or the 16th up here. And, I spoke about the reverse stock split, how that affects your shares, and what could probably happen to share price moving forward. And of course, it continued downward like it usually does after a reverse split. But you can see how it ended up meeting and coming and testing that line multiple times here on the 19th and even trying to break through here on the 29th, actually falling down below it here on the 30th. And then you can see how it bounced and went right back to the fib there at 705. Rejected, flattened out, and then chunked down. This here on Tuesday, if you recall, was those CPI numbers that came out. Markets took a hit. This stock dropped 22.5% the other day. And someone asked in the comments, what does that mean? Like, where might we go from here? And that's when I said, if you don't see it, like, immediately try to regain that support level and get back up to that line, then chances are you're going to continue downward and you're probably going to see this 376 fib. And then we hear about $3.5 million offering. So everyone looks at that as diluting shares. So shares are now worth less. Boom, now you're down, 5, 6%, and probably going to continue downward. If we move forward here, we can see Next earnings due April 1st. Estimates of 30.8 million. So this is probably going to be like a make or break quarter here. Again, in the short term, I mean, it could continue to really come down. However, they really have beaten it up. If you look here, $2.3 million market cap, but it's the reverse splits, obviously, that are affecting the stock more than these little offerings here. So we could potentially even break this fib and start dropping into the 3.5s, the low threes, going into these earnings. But it's really going to determine how much revenue the company brings in, and if they're but I will say, if they're projecting that they're going to go, excuse me, positive operating cash flow, right? I just forgot which one they said that was going to go positive. So they said the cash flow going to go positive. So if they're kind of projecting that, then we could potentially say this might be like near the worst of the business. You understand what I'm saying? And the potential U-turn could be coming. And they projected Q3. So what this could mean is like, yeah, like this quarter we might suck again. Next quarter we might be like more closer in line. And then, towards the end of 2024, that's when we're going to turn the corner and start doing better. You understand? So that's what, again, that's just my prediction, of course. But that could be what could potentially happen here. And I know a lot of people may still be holding. Obviously, you're down pretty big. But I will say, it ain't over till it's over, right? Like they say. And there are a lot of companies out there who go through these reverse splits. They'll do these offerings. They'll get beaten up for so long, and then all of a sudden, they'll find their bottom. They'll find their footing, and revenue starts coming in. All of a sudden, they're able to start narrowing losses. They're becoming more efficient, right? And then it starts to gain traction again, and starts to climb in value. And a lot of people don't realize that one of our winners here on the channel that we looked at a bunch of times, and in my opinion, I still like it, was Fubo. Fubo went through a reverse stock split. They beat it up. I think it was, I don't remember when I first looked at it, probably like 12 months ago. But I started looking at the stock at $1, and it seemed like it was excessive. And they continued to beat it up. If you recall, they kind of brought it down to, I think it was like that 70-cent mark. But then what happened? It found that bottom. That was too much. People began now buying into Fubo, seeing some value. Everyone was hyped about, the next quarter earnings. And then what happened? The company ended up coming out. They beat on the EPS side. They ended up beating on the revenue side, coming in above estimates. Stock started to climb. And then the next quarter came out. Boom, they were able to do it again. They beat on the top line. They beat on the bottom line. It continued to climb. The stock ended up rallying up to almost $4 a share from $1, sub $1, coming off of several months ago, coming out of a reverse stock split. You understand what I'm saying? So it really depends on the product and the service too, right? And that's what's bothering me here, is the fact that the revenue fell off and dropped back down to that 20 million mark when it was at that 30 million mark. Because I don't want to make that prediction, but it may possibly be foreshadowing that anyone who might have wanted their products already kind of bought them, and no one may be really looking for them. But I don't know if I necessarily want to count them out, because this company here, it says apparel footwear. This company makes like construction apparel and some tools and whatnot. They make like knee pads and levels and stuff. So anytime I made a video on ToughBuilt, people who were actually in the industry and actually bought and used their products, right? I mean, those were the people you probably would listen to. They all said that they thought it was good quality. They worked well. They're glad they bought them. They would, buy them again or buy other products potentially. So if the public, if the people in the sector are responding well to it, then you would think, A, there's some sort of necessity, right? Even though the stock got really beaten up like this, we could potentially see down the road, you might have an outlet company, like a Walmart or somebody who just, scoops up the company, absorbs that IP, and then just starts putting out those products on their shelves. So we could potentially see something like that. But also, again, if the professionals in the labor market are telling us that they're good products and they like them, then why'd the revenue stop? Why would the revenue stop? You would think, you get up to 30 million, you would think you'd kind of be able to kind of hang around that 30 million mark, right? And then you would hope that, word of mouth, that would help spread about your product. You do a little advertising, boom. Now you're jumping up to 35, 40 million a quarter, so the drop down to sub 19 was definitely a red flag in my eyes. I think a lot of people just didn't know how to interpret that. And then you come here the next quarter, and again, you can see estimates almost 30 million. They come in with only 20 million. And I think it was right around that point where a lot of investors may have just said, all right, you know what? This company doesn't know what they're doing. All of a sudden sales are going down. I'm getting out of here before it gets worse. You know what I mean? And that's why you also have continued added selling pressure, because if we look at the numbers, again, you're bringing in tens of millions every quarter. So what? You're worth, 100, 200 million? No, the company's worth 2.3 million right now. So that's why sometimes the numbers don't really add up, but that's why usually a lot of people who speak about stocks, I would hope, would tell you that you really have to do a lot of due diligence before you make one of these investments here. And you have to look at fundamentals, and you also have to look at technicals. But again, you have to look at other elements as well, like reverse stock splits. We have big earnings misses. You kind of have to keep an eye on everything. And if you become more lackadaisical with it and kind of take it for granted, what's going to happen is you're going to start all of a sudden building up these positions in your account. And now you're going to have, 2, 3, 5 positions like TBLT that are just down big and just aren't working out. But just wanted to do a quick update there on the stock offering, because I know someone asked, they don't really know what that means, so what does that translate to the stock moving forward? And that's what it is. It's viewed as a dilution. Now, value of the shares have to go down because there's more shares available now. But we can see recently here on the daily that the MACD crossed to the downside on that big drop, and obviously we continued downward. Bottom Bollinger Band here on the daily 447, so we're about 10% below that now. So we'll see the next couple of days if it does try to rebound and get back into that range, but it's not looking too good here in the short term for TBLT. We can see on the daily here, RSI down to 22.5. And when we have broken that 30 benchmark in the past, we've actually stayed there for looks like about 2 week stretch. So if the stock does want to continue to sell off, the RSI could stay down here sub 30 for the next week or two. And this could just add to the selling of the stock. And that's why I'm saying we could potentially see that 3.5 and maybe even low 3 mark with just some of this bad news coming out. Look at the weekly here. Again, the RSI here sub 30 for, what are we talking, 8 months, 9 straight months here. So that's what I mean. The stock is definitely under fire. And again, they're saying that they're looking for positive cash flow here towards the end of 2024. And if they're able to start putting out some of these catalysts, these positive catalysts, then yeah, like I made the comparison to Fubo, like we could eventually find that bottom, make that U-turn, all of a sudden start growing in value. But again, the difference is in the numbers when you compare it to something like Fubo. Fubo is showing, they just signed a new deal with BKFC, Bare Knuckle Fighting. They're consistently coming in with higher and higher revenue. They're beating expectations, right? And TBLT, we have kind of the exact opposite story. So until those things start to happen for this company, it's probably going to continue to head downward. And again, if we do approach that magic $1 mark, you might actually see another reverse. I don't know. I don't know what to say here, because unfortunately it just seems like constant negative catalyst after constant negative catalysts. And again, I know you guys want updates, and not knowing what a stock, new stock offering is understandable. I have no problem making a quick update video for you guys. But overall here, as an investment, like if you're holding this wondering like what the heck's going on, what's going on is now it's in the hands of the company. Now they have to start bringing up revenue. Again, even if they miss here, because estimates are above 30 million now, you want to see some life come back into these numbers. you want to see at least, 26, 7, 29 million, right? At least come close. At least show me you're not just down and out and this 19, 20 million, that's the best we're going to get now. You know what I'm saying? Show me that there's some life here. And that is what you need from TBLT. But again, regardless of any situation we look at, I know there are people out there holding it and hoping it goes higher. So, anyone out there holding, I wish you the best of luck. And, even if this one doesn't work out, don't beat yourself up. Learn from it, move on to the next one. We've all been there. You're everyone always thinks they're the biggest idiot when something like this happens. It's not, So just work smarter moving forward. That would be my advice, and learn from the experience. But I'll end it there. So once again, Stocks by the Numbers. I want to thank you for stopping by. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, drop it down in the comments section. I'm usually very quick to reply. Thumbs up algorithm helps me get more eyes on the channel. And of course, subscribe to the channel. That is our handshake agreement. That is how you help me help you. But moving forward, more importantly, I understand markets are rocky, volatile, and uncertain. So I wish all of you well. I wish all of you success. Thanks for stopping by. See you in the next one.